Hey, and welcome to Unlearning Stress, the podcast where we break the rules and cycles that keep you overcommitted, overstretched, and just plain exhausted, and replace them with something better. No fluff, no guilt, just real talk, real solutions, and expert insights to help you shift the way you live. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been with me for a while, you're in the right place. I'm Mischelle O'Neill, your resident emotional wellness coach, and I'm here to help you unlearn the patterns that are wearing you down so you can live with more ease, clarity, and control. Let's get to it. Okay, so let's call it what it is. You're not tired because you're working. You're tired because you're emotionally regulating in environments that weren't built for you. You're emotionally exhausted. Simple as that. That's what it is. Every room you walk into, you're checking yourself, literally at the door. You're evaluating how you sound, how you'll come across, how you'll be perceived, what face you put on today. And I'm not talking about your makeup. Is your face too stern? Is your tone too much? What's the label that you'll end up with when you walk out of here today? You're not unsure of yourself, and you're definitely not oversensitive. You've just become very adept at reading the room before anybody else hears what you have to say. And that is what we're unwilling to talk about. We talk about stress and burnout and balance, but we don't talk about what it's doing to our nervous system to stay calm and composed all the time, even when your body is saying, I don't feel safe here. So that's what we're calling out today. Not whether you perform, not how to be more palatable, but how to start choosing you in real time, even when the room still expects that version of you that they're comfortable with. Listen, you don't need a breakdown of what emotional regulation looks like, right? You're living it. You're in the meeting and you're already scanning the room before you speak, not because you're scared, but because you've learned who flinches, who twists your words, who pulls out that tone card. You don't even say what you really want to say anymore because you have to navigate that minefield of nonsense. You choose to say what'll land safely, what won't stir the pot, what won't get misread or misconstrued. And maybe you tell yourself, I'm just being smart. I've seen this play out too many times in the past, and I'm not going to get caught in that. Well, let me tell you where I see this play out most. And it's not always the boardroom, it's when you even walk into a networking event. And look, I know how to lead, I know how to show up. But in that space, that room where everyone's performing their version of success, that's where I feel it. It's not just connection, it's quiet competition. You're being read, judged, placed, and as women, you feel the pressure to represent, to carry, to not slip up. And when I realized I'd been taught to project everyone else's perception before I even opened my mouth, that's when I knew this wasn't personality. It had absolutely nothing to do with personality. It was pattern, learned, practiced, and performed. And now it's all about unlearning it. Because right now, you're coping. It's not about faking it, it's about getting through the day without a fire breaking out when there's already a fire raging within you. You're not trying to keep the peace. You are the peace. You're holding it, regulating it, performing it, and it's absolutely exhausting. You've trained your body to stay composed in rooms that never learned how to handle your clarity. And now your nervous system is the one paying for it every single time. So today's not about calling that out, it's about naming it for what it really is. It's a pattern that you've learned to build just to be able to stay in the room. And I'm talking about virtual and in person because it still works in both of those spaces. And once you call it out, you can start deciding where to stop overexerting, overspending yourself. Look, you already know what you're walking into, right? You already know who's going to question your tone, who's going to make a face when your voice gets firm, who's going to sit there and evaluate your delivery more than that data that you spent so much time and worked so hard to get together. And because you already know that, you've taught yourself to come in already armored up. You show up with the facts. You're more prepared than anyone else in that room because you know the second you slip, they're not going to come for your work. They're going to come for you, not with feedback, with that look, that condescending tone, that silence that tells you you pushed it too hard, you took up too much space and too much of their time. Girl, this is not about being perfect. It's about survival, not in a dramatic sense, but in an emotional sense. You've learned how to protect yourself before you even open your mouth. You don't walk in to collaborate, you walk in already calculating what it's going to cost you to just say what needs to be said. And that's not how it's supposed to work. But that's how it does work. When the emotional standard in the room was never built with you in mind. So the shift isn't about making yourself palatable, it's about reclaiming your clarity without apology and not doing it for approval, but because your presence deserves to stop being policed. Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to give you a checklist. I'm not going to say, just breathe through it or take a pause. You're already pausing. You've been holding your breath for years. What I'm going to do is offer you something small, not to fix the room. It's going to take more than that. And it's going to take more than me to fix that. But I can show you how to hold yourself inside that room and carve out your own space. So next time you feel that shift, the one where your face goes all neutral, your voice softens, your body tenses because you just clocked the energy in the room. I want you to try this. You don't have to respond right away. You don't have to adjust your tone to make everyone comfortable. You don't have to match their energy to keep things smooth. What you do get to do is say, this isn't a good time for me to talk through this right now. Can we table this and maybe come back to it in the next meeting? Or you can say it this way: I want to give this a the right attention. So, can we circle back on this so that make sure that I give it all the attention that it deserves? Or sometimes, hey, you can absolutely just say nothing. Just breathe. You keep your voice and your gaze steady, not soft, not sharp, just steady. And I want to be clear about this. This isn't just a mindset, this goes way beyond that. Your body knows when you shift. Your breath deepens, your muscles unclench, you you stop bracing. And for the first time, you hear yourself instead of scanning for safety. Wow, that's not rebellion. That's restoration. That's not avoidance. That's not rudeness. That's self preservation and control in motion. And you did that thing. And listen, I'm not saying this changes everything overnight. I wish. But it starts something. It's a reset, a signal to your nervous system that you're back in charge of you. And the more you practice it, the more you realize you don't need the room to understand you in order to stop disappearing inside of it. Here's what I want to say as we close. I'm not I'm not asking you to push. I'm not even asking you to fight. I'm not asking you to speak louder. What I'm asking you to do is to grab hold to your own wisdom because it is there. Somewhere along the way, you learned how to read the room so well that you stopped listening to yourself. You stopped trusting when to speak and when to pause because everything became about tone and timing and how it would be perceived or received. But what if you started trusting that again? Your wisdom. What if the next time you walked into a space that asked you to be small, you you simply chose not to shrink. Not with force, not with fire. You don't need that. Just with presence. You grounded yourself. You stayed centered and you responded when you were ready, not when the room demanded it. That's what I'm inviting you into. Not rebellion, but reclamation. And if that hits something in you, if you felt yourself nodding through this or even just tearing up a bit, that's not being emotional. What that is recognition. That's your body saying it's time. So here's what I'll leave in the show notes. I'm going to leave you a quiz, not to diagnose you, but to mirror back what you've been managing, to show you the pattern that's been writing your responses and help you name what it's time to, well, to shift. Listen, no pressure, just permission. Have fun with it, but be honest. And until next time, I'm Mischelle O'Neill, and I'm so thrilled that you were here on this episode with me. Until next time, take care. Bye bye. If this episode hits home, don't just push it aside. Lean into it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next, and connect with me on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, where we go even deeper. Links will be in the comments. And if you're ready to start unlearning the patterns that keep you stuck, keep listening, because real change happens one choice at a time. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.